thanks for helping out this morning.
Yeah, not a problem. Is that you in the waiting room? Do you have 2 accounts?
Oh, no,
You're on Facebook Live right now.
Oh, good. I was trying to, yeah. I was
So
trying.
everyone can hear your entire conversation.
Okay.
Can you see the slide?
Yes, I see the welcome slide.
Okay. It's not showing.
And I can see that in the corner, it does say live on Facebook.
Okay. Because on Facebook, it's just a black screen. I guess it'll start when we move. In 6 minutes.
Hey, Tim, do you want me to add your other Zoom account in here?
No, I was just looking around at like how to tell my sister to log in, looking at the easiest way because she hasn't registered. So
Yes. So if she goes to the website, it'll say Sunday gathering.
yes,
And then once she clicks on that, then it'll give the link to Zoom and the user ID and password.
great. Okay. Yeah, she has the website, so thank you.
Thank you, Tim. That was beautiful.
You're welcome.
Mandy, you can start letting people in.
Okay.
It's a beautiful start to a brand new morning. Then out of the blue, without warning, I let a little thing like a nap in my teeth steal away my sanity. In the midst of it all, when I stumble and fall, I know I'm gonna be okay. I start to feel the beat, I get back on my feet, and I dance away, taking back my day, yeah, taking back my day. Standing in my shoes, I know what to do, taking back my day. Just a slight adjustment is really all it takes to see the big picture instead of all the mistakes. I just smile at the things on my list. Can't stay inside on a day like this. In the midst of it all, when I stumble and fall, I know I'm gonna be okay. I start to feel the beat, I get back on my feet, and I dance away, taking back my day, taking back my day, yeah. Standing in my shoes, I got the right moves, taking back my day. There's a blue sky over my head, I got a spring in my step. You can bet the best is just a breath away, taking back my day, taking back my day, dancing in my shoes, I got the right moves, taking back my day, yeah. Taking back my day, my peace, my joy, my sanity. Taking back my day, everything's alright on the sunny day. Taking back my day, taking back my day, my.
Good morning. This is Beverly Pryor, and I'm here to welcome you to Unity of the Hill Country in Kerrville, Texas, where we are offering you a positive path to spiritual living. And we're doing it all virtually right now, and eventually we'll come back together, hopefully sooner than later. But of course, with all the proper guidelines and restrictions, which there are many different things to take into consideration. So in this moment, let's just take this opportunity to connect heart to heart in prayer. So let's just take a deep breath in, close your eyes, and a little smile on your face. Just slowly let that breath release. Another deep breath in. And with this breath, we just let go completely. Come present to this moment and this time. And together, as one, we open our hearts. And we sanctify this time together. And we claim our highest and best for each and every one concerned. We're so grateful to have this alternative, this virtual way to get together, to connect, whether you can show up at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning or you get to watch it later. We're just so grateful that we can continue to see one another, to know one another, to experience our consciousness raising truth, and to activate that living, loving Christ nature within each and every one of us. And for this truth and so much more, we just say thank you. Thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. So our opening statement, if you'll see it here on the screen, and you can say it there at home or wherever you happen to be if you'd like. There's only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe. God, the good, the omnipotent. Only one power and one presence. Our announcements today are sort of the same as each week, but with a little bit of an end date. So Metaphysical Mondays will be concluding at the end of May. So the last day will be May 25th. Wisdom Wednesdays will be ending on May 28th. Depending on how much longer we might need to be apart, we'll come up with some other offerings a little bit later on. But in the meantime, on Tuesdays at 4 o'clock, Patsy Sherman is hosting a review of this really interesting series called The Lost Christianities, Christian Scriptures and the Battles Over Authentication. Easy for me to say. So we're watching a course that she has called The Great Series. It's not recorded, so you can't watch it later. So you have to show up at 4 o'clock. And then we have a little discussion of it, and it's really been interesting. But there are recordings of Sunday morning and the Metaphysical Mondays and Wednesday Wisdom. I should have done some mouth exercises this morning to loosen up my tongue. The recordings for Sunday, Wednesday, Tuesdays that we had for a short period, and then Wednesdays can all be found on Facebook, YouTube, and unityhillcountry.org. And I'm very excited to introduce to you a little bit later Tim Burnaman, who is one of the, if you're familiar with the posse music that is popular in New Thought organizations, Tim is one of the featured artists who records and performs, and he's also an associate music director at Unity of Clearwater. So we're really excited that he's been able to be with us virtually. That is one of the advantages of virtual, that we do get to invite musicians and singers and songwriters that aren't local, and we love our local guys, but we enjoy that we can bring in the posse music family. And so Tim, we're really excited to hear from you here in just a bit. So prayer requests are submitted online. We can't take cards right now. You know, we're not doing paper, so we can't take the cards in the building, but you can mail them in, and then we have to disinfect them, but that's okay. Or you could call Mandy at the office. She's there Monday through Thursday, 10 to 2, and she can take your prayer requests. But you can also call directly to Silent Unity. You can mail directly to Silent Unity. We pray over the prayer requests that we receive here, and then we send them on to Silent Unity because they've been praying there for over 130 years, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so your prayer request goes on into that prayer energy that's literally palpable when you go to Unity Village. So you can call Silent Unity. They changed their hours just a little bit, but the numbers here on the screen, you can call them at any time. But let's take a moment now, and with the image of our sweet prayer chest there on the screen, let's take a moment and let's just go into prayer. If you have not had an opportunity to send your prayer request in, and you have something on your mind right now for yourself or for another, just send it in now in consciousness. And it will be included in this prayer. So closing our eyes together and taking a deep breath in. And as we release that breath, we just let go of any busyness and hurry and worry from the morning. And we just drop in and become present to this moment and this time. We know there's no degree of prayer. There's nothing too difficult or too simple for that absolute good, that power in the universe that we know, that we name God. Jesus taught us to claim our good, to claim it is done. And in this moment, with our full awareness of that power and that presence, we claim the highest and best for every one of the prayer requests we've received, those that are out there that have been sent through the hearts and minds of people connecting with us right now. And we know the response is always a resounding yes, yes, yes. And for this truth, whether your request is for wellness or health or well-being, for relationships, for finances, for job, it doesn't matter. It all gets that same resounding yes, and we just say thank you. Thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. The mission and vision statement of Unity of the Hill Country in Kerrville, Texas is to live consciously, celebrating the divine potential in all. And that is our highest possible goal, to live consciously, celebrating the divine potential in all. Our daily word reader today is Patsy Sherman. So Mandy, if you could unmute Patsy, I will stop sharing so we can see her for a moment. Hi, Patsy. Okay, she's not unmuted yet. Mandy, could you unmute her?
How? No.
Great.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I let go and trust the divine in me. When faced with a decision to make, do my thoughts turn immediately to divine guidance, or do I seek God's help only when all else fails? Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore wrote that God loves to be used, and the more you use him, the more easily you use him and the more pleasant his help becomes. God lives in me and expresses through me. All of the attributes of God are as near as my next thought. I release my attachment to limited human reasoning. I center my mind and heart on the constant flow of divine love, wisdom, understanding, and strength. In the divine flow, I find answers to questions. New possibilities for good emerge. I move forward with confidence. From Deuteronomy 4:29, from there you will seek the Lord your God, and you will find him if you search after him with all your heart and soul. Again, today's daily word is I let go and trust the divine in me.
Thank you, Patsy. That was beautifully done. So now we get to have a performance from our guest musician, and I'm so excited. We did a little sound check earlier, and he's a very talented pianist and a wonderful singer. So I'm going to stop sharing that screen. And Mandy, do we have him unmuted?
Thank you, Reverend Beverly. It's a joy and honor to be here with you today.
Okay. So this is our time of going within, getting still and connecting with that absolute good that reflects and expresses as each and every one of us. So let's close our eyes together and sit back and let our chair fully support our bodies. Just notice as that chair is beneath you and behind you, maybe even supporting your arms somewhat. Weight of your body just relies on that chair. Trust that chair. Just fully gives way to the support offered by the chair. Together, let's take a deep breath in and slowly release. One more deep breath in together. A pause at the top and then slowly releasing. The breath connects us, mind, body, and spirit, and connects us one with another. Just settling into our breath now. Just pay attention to the flow in and out of your body. Maybe rising and falling in your chest, maybe in your belly. Just give your way to the breath. Just relax into the breath. With a slight smile on your lips. Just be in this moment. Still, open, and receptive. If you have thoughts come floating in, just notice them. Let them keep floating by. No need to be attached. No need to judge. You start noticing sensations in your body, just let them be. If emotions arise, just accept them. there are any sounds in your environment? Just notice. No stories. Just present with all there is. When we become still, we open our hearts and our minds to know the very truth of our being. We know the divinity that exists in each and every one of us, in every moment. In this moment, allow the truth of your own divinity to fill your heart. To permeate your mind and to soothe your soul. As we move into a time of silence. Together, let's take a deep breath in. Pause and slowly release as we bring our attention back to this moment and this time. Fully aware, fully enlivened and energized by the truth of the indwelling Christ. That true divinity in each and every one of us. And for this truth and so much more, we just simply say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So it is. Amen. Tim, that music was wonderful. Thank you so much. That just really set the stage perfectly for meditation. The piano, just ideal. So my talk this week is called Joy in the Stillness. And this came to me, I kept asking, because I pray and meditate, and I'm like, what am I to say? What's the most relevant thing I can share? And I started thinking about how, now that things are beginning to open up a little bit and the restaurants are opening up somewhat and people are getting out a little bit more and I see people around, it's like I've seen a lot of comments on Facebook that people are just cabin crazy and stir crazy and they really want to get out. And it is good to be able to get out, and it's the right thing to do for the right people that are ready to do that with the proper precautions, of course, with the social distancing, the physical space, as well as wearing a mask and, of course, always continuing to wash your hands. But I don't want us to rush too much back to what we think, back to normal, people kept saying, I want to get back to normal. That normal has come and gone. And over this period of time that we've been sequestering at home for good reason, things have changed and we're doing things differently. We're doing things online. We're connecting, people are connecting with their family members they never even spoke with, but now they have a weekly Zoom call together. There's a lot of things that have changed for the better. And these changes can come out of us enjoying the stillness, the peace. I mean, we all know that the earth has been healing. And for me, I've been doing a lot more meditation and prayer and reading. And I'm really enjoying that aspect of the time that I'm spending more alone. And of course, many of you know I have a new puppy, which of course that's made it more fun too. But the stillness is really important for us to get centered when we do come back into the world. Now we're just putting our little toe in, some of us, and some are still staying at home 100%, which is a good idea for those who fall into the category where that's truly necessary. And I think we have to get a balance. But I don't want us to forget, just because we're getting frustrated with still being at home, that there is joy in the stillness. Kahlil Gibran wrote the book called The Prophet. And, it's different essays, so to speak. And this one section is on joy and sorrow. And he writes, "Then a woman said, 'Speak to us of joy and sorrow.' And he answered, 'Your joy is your sorrow, unmasked. All the selfsame well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. And how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. It is not the cup that holds your wine, the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven. It's not the lute that soothes your spirit, the very wood that was hollowed with knives. When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth, you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Some of you say joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. Verily, you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. Only when you are empty are you at a standstill and balanced. When the treasure keeper lifts you to weigh his gold and silver, Needs must your joy or your sorrow rise or fall. I think that's just beautiful, because sometimes we're like, I want to get out, I want to have fun, I'm feeling frustrated, but we have to remember that it's all part of the same process. And from Psalms 35, we read, weeping may linger for the night, but joy comes with the morning. So right now, you may be frustrated. We may be feeling all sorts of feelings. We may be weeping. We may be crying a little bit. We may be feeling emotions, because once we settle down and we're not distracting ourselves with going here and going there and being this and doing that, sometimes emotions do rise. Sometimes we face ourselves in a way that is unfamiliar and that we've been able to avoid by all our doing and being and busyness and hurry. But when we have this time of settling down, sometimes those emotions come rising up, and sometimes they're a lot. I know for me, when I open an intense emotion in my being, it's just a floodgate. And then I have to kind of sort through what is mine and what is part of my whole empathic being. What am I taking on for the world? But I always know that joy comes with the morning. I always know that what I need to do is allow that. I need to allow that to move through me. I don't fight it. I don't shove it down. I allow it to be present, because after that, I do feel exhilaration. I do feel the joy and the reconnection to my own soul. But it's not that joy is the only part of my soul. My soul has a shadow, right? I have yin and yang. I have darkness and light. I have intense feelings that are very positive, and I have intense feelings that can be very tough, that can be negative, and that can be disturbing. And yet, when I allow them and I don't push them away and I don't try to get busy, I stay in the stillness, the joy comes forth, and it's beautiful. So there's joy in the stillness, and we really can't have these experiences of allowing things to come forward for us when we're so busy. So before you get fully back to the way it used to be, which it never will be, I just have to keep reminding you of that. The way forward is not back to the way it used to be. The way forward is the way forward. We don't know what it will look like yet. We're still discovering that. Even at Unity of the Hill Country, we're still discovering what will our way be forward as we come back together to whatever degree we do, because I think it will be an evolving process. It won't be just we open the doors and everyone comes back in one day. It'll be some people are comfortable coming back in, and some people come in a little more slowly, and we'll have some new people come in, and we'll have some people that don't come back. We just don't know how it will unfold, and we're excited and joyful for whatever that outcome is. In Unity, we talk about how our mind creates and how our thoughts are things, and they actually produce. It's a cause and effect. It's a universal law of cause and effect. Your thoughts create the outcome. So we really need to think about, where are we holding our thoughts? Yes, allow those feelings that are not always joyful to come through, but for the purpose of allowing the joy to come back to the surface. So from the Metaphysics 1 book on denials and affirmation, which is denials and affirmation, if you're not familiar, is Unity's basic prayer process. So it says, the relationship of a human being to things holds true for the realm of thought. Things come and things go. Some things belong to us and some things do not. Some things cause harm, others are blessings. All these observations about things are also true about thoughts, for they are things. All thoughts that come to us do not belong to us. We may have taken hold of certain thoughts that came to us and are calling them our own just because they come into our mind. If they're negative, they will do us harm, or they'll teach us a lesson. But we can let go of these. We can just let them move through us, and further harm will cease. If we let go, which was back to Patsy's reading today, just let go. We can then attract new and better thoughts to us. But best of all, we can begin doing our own thinking. Doing our own thinking. This is quite a high attainment, much rarer than we may realize, to do your own thinking. When have you had your own original thoughts? Just take a moment and reflect on that. We are really doing our own thinking. We receive much new inspiration and guidance because we are then generating an energy that will let more light into our minds. So when we go into the silence, we do our meditation time. When we come out of that meditation time, when we've been in deep meditation, we're still. That's when we know, after we've allowed the thoughts to just float by, we've allowed feelings to arise, we're not attaching to any of it. Once all of that movement can happen and we truly get still, we connect with that source, that absolute good in the universe, that truth, that divinity that we all are in this world. Then when we come back to consciousness, to our awareness, the first thoughts that we have are typically something that will take us to our greater good. And as we're imagining how our life will unfold as we move forward, as we come back together in whatever way, shape, or form, when we let that imagining come after we've done our meditation, we have the potential to really create a brand new experience, a whole new world for all of us, for each one of us separately and collectively. I love nature and I love to spend time in nature because that just lets me let go of any kind of thoughts of busyness or whatever I'm doing. It's just a moment for me to get still. And that might be how you connect, is through nature as well. My friend Rebecca Wynn has recently published this amazing book called 100 Daffodils. And I've been reading it. And it's a book of essays, but the essays actually tell a story. They're not exactly chapters. They're stories that she wrote while she was going through a divorce after 24 years of marriage. And they're beautifully written. And they take us to a place of inspiration, and her connection to nature is amazing. And she designs flower gardens, and this is not one of her designs. This is just an image. But I want to read to you from her book because I just felt such a strong connection with this particular essay. So she opens her back door one day, and she has a lot of these knockout roses in her garden, but she doesn't normally smell them. And this one day she opens the back door and she gets this strong fragrance, and she was taken aback. And she goes out into the garden. She realizes it's the knockout roses that are really blessing her with this amazing fragrance. And she says, and I'm reading from her book now, the chapter called Moments of Joy. I took my tea into the garden and let the fragrance surround me, carried on the soft morning breeze. I was deeply moved by the moment of beauty, and as I sat very still and allowed myself the sensual pleasure that was being carried on each breath of air, I realized something. Moments of joy surround us. This endless striving in the pursuit of joy deprives us of exactly that which we seek. It is this ability and willingness to find moments of joy in what is right before us that ensures we will find it. Believing joy is somewhere out there and focusing out there, focusing our efforts and attention on trying to find it, closes off joy rather than revealing it. And it is the path of frustration and disappointment. Our attachment to what we think we need to make us happy puts a veil over our ability to see the beauty of which is actually present. I knew I had dozens of rose bushes in my garden that bore thousands, if not tens of thousands, of blossoms. But I thought I knew this particular variety of rose was only faintly fragrant, not nearly fragrant enough to be enjoyed all the way back to my house. I thought I knew the capacity of these roses, but I was wrong. Nature has no knowledge of our sense of limitation and therefore goes about her business of full expression without our help or hindrance, blithely obvious to the expectations or lack thereof. Thank goodness nature doesn't look to us to fulfill its potential. Think how much smaller it would be. Would we ever imagine the majesty of Niagara Falls, the masses of glorious eclectic purple blossoms on a jacaranda tree, or the exquisite minuscule grass flowers that cover the meadows? Could we have ever dreamed that heat, pressure, and time could transform simple rocks into sparkling gemstones? Looking at our own lives, can we see the seeds of magnificence, or do our eyes only see the potential to exist in the lives of others? Are we all expressions of the same creation? We are all expressions of the same creation. We all possess the ability to achieve greatness. We are all full of potential that perhaps no one else sees, but that exists within us nonetheless. It doesn't matter what others think we can or cannot do. It is our job to bring forth our greatest expression, our job to see ourselves as more magnificent than others see us, our job to take their breath away with the wondrous lives we create for ourselves. Yes, it is a good thing my roses weren't constrained by trying to live up to my paltry expectations. If they had, I would have completely missed that moment of joy and inspiration. I think it's beautiful the way Rebecca took this time in her life of turmoil and she focused on nature and she brought herself back to the very truth of her being. And at the same time, she was going to meditation groups and she was opening her mind and expanding her consciousness. But it's so beautiful to take this time, just as she did with this upheaval of her life, and to go and calm it down, to focus on the garden, whatever that you have around you. It may be your backyard, it could be the garden. If you don't have nature, you can go walk on the river trail if you're living in Kerrville. There's such beauty and there's so much to explore, to expand who we are, and to move forward, not backward into the way it used to be, not back to normal. There is no normal anymore. It's a new normal. And there never is normal for very long because it's always evolving and always changing, just as nature is always evolving and always changing. She has amazing stories in her book about the changes in her garden and different things that happened that reflected her life. It's really beautifully written, but that's also true for us. And we can watch nature reflect and we can connect in a way with nature and with others. That brings us together. As I mentioned before, the unity prayer process is denial and affirmations. Denial is the ability to release the energy and power we have invested in old, worn out negative attitudes or incorrect beliefs. Sometimes we don't even know the beliefs that we have are incorrect for us until we discover the challenges, the difficulty, the pain that they're bringing us. And then the affirmations, the ability to accept a newer, truer, higher, more correct attitude and belief. It's also the ability to say yes and accept better concepts of divine ideas. An affirmation is an ordered statement of truth through which we condition our consciousness. When we condition our consciousness, then we move more towards our mission here at Unity of the Hill Country to live consciously. That's how we do it, is by conditioning our consciousness. There's a website called The Aesthetics of Joy, and she gives some advice on how to keep joy in your life when you're being sequestered. This was specifically about staying home alone, but it applies to staying home, in general. Keep your calendar full. If you're feeling frustrated and you're feeling like you want to get out and do something, put everything on your calendar, your walk, your phone conversations. Plan your day out and then check things off the way you would as if you were busy and going about your business. And then you can always do something you've always wanted to do. There have been a lot of resources provided free. I'm always posting when I find something. I share it on Facebook on Unity Hill Country as well as my personal one. And get to know yourself. Maybe take a Myers-Briggs or an Enneagram test and see what it says about you that help you connect a little bit more deeply to who you are. Or maybe you just totally disagree with it, but it's fun to do and it's interesting. But find joy in sources of touch. I have a new puppy, so I play with her all the time. But even if you don't have someone or something, you can go out and walk in the grass. You can go and touch the bark on the tree and the leaves and just slow down and get in contact with your senses. Play something fun and joyful. I'm sure that Tim, our guest artist this week, has lots of fun, playful music that he would share with you. We've got a list of places you can find his music. And explore unconventional ways to connect. I think we've all been forced to do this. We've been forced to be on Zoom and or not be in contact at all. I was not a big fan of FaceTime before, but I will do that sometimes. I'm not really a big fan of the whole video recording thing, but we're doing it because it's necessary to stay connected. And it's good to see each other's faces, even though we can't get together face to face. So this week, your weekly practice is to sit with joy, to be still and listen. Listen to your heart. Listen to that song within your heart that's telling you what would give you more joy. And if in that quest for joy, some sadness moves through you, allow that to move through you, knowing that once it does, once you have that weeping, the morning comes with joy. And then if you get an impulse in your meditation time, act on your joy. Do something, write a card to someone, make a phone call. A friend of mine in Arkansas, I was roommates with in college, painted a couple of pictures of my 2 senior dogs that recently passed away. And she sent me those paintings and I treasure them. So she did that. That was an act of joy and love and compassion for me. And it means everything. And so small things like that really do transform your life and your relationships. So that's your weekly practice. And now we'll have more music by our amazing artist, Tim Burnaman. Mandy, you need to unmute him. Tim, hang on a second. I'm trying to unmute you. There we go.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the beautiful, inspiring message. And the song that I'd like to share is essentially, well, it's saying the same thing in a little different way, and the title is On a Breeze. The breeze coming this way brings news here today. Whisper a little fresh air, I hear, go on and dare. Let love breathe into your heart. Listen, that's where to start. A voice called out your name, speaks out, never the same. On a breeze, sailing with ease, drifting into love. On a breeze, on a breeze. Stuck out at sea, the wind had died, abandoned me. Before too long my thoughts became just like a hurricane. Well, the storm that tossed me around was lost, then I heard a sound. A voice called out to me and brought me back easily. On a breeze, sailing with ease, drifting into love. On a breeze, on a breeze. Gentle wind is blowing in, the trees slightly sway. My heart is lifted today. On a breeze, sailing with ease, drifting into love. On a breeze, 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 on a breeze. Thank you. I can't hear you, Reverend Bev.
We can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, Beverly.
Okay, sorry. I was saying how much we appreciate your continued giving and your generosity and your support of Unity of the Hill Country. And, you know, we're still keeping the campus available for when we can get back together. And We really appreciate your generosity and your commitment and your giving. And so whatever you're giving, wherever you're giving, whether it's online or you're mailing a check in or whatever, let's just bless whatever you give out into the world, whether it's tithes and offerings or love and support. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I send it forth with my blessings and my love. So we close with our prayer of protection by James Stillett Freeman. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. All right, we'll see you next week, and we'll open the lines now for our community greeting time.
Thank you, Tim.
Hi, Eddie.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Tim. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Jack.
Hey, Jack.
You get to come to Kerrville for real.
Yeah,
Great
come
job,
to
Tim.
Kerrville.
You did great.
Thank you.
We'd love that.
Yeah, Tim, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be able to be together with you even from afar. It's a pleasure.
Yes, we do. It's nice. It's not as nice as you coming in person, but you know, one of these days, hopefully you'll do that.
Great.
So I don't know how many people have on video today. We're kind of got a few people who are not videoing. Hey, Jack and Danny. Hey, Alan, Hetty, Mark and Galen. It's good to see all you guys.
Good to see you too.
There you are.
Hello.
Galen's scaling a mountain back there.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm doing.
All right. Well, we have more people than this online, but I guess they're all shy of video. So there are about 17 people on with us today. It's good to see everybody. And we will be communicating here in about we have a board meeting next week, and we'll be talking about possible reopening plans and timings, and we'll be sending out a survey to got to get your feedback. And so watch for that. We'll let you know when it's coming. All right, well, we can close. Namaste.
Hey,
I love you.
you too.
Thank you so much, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hetty. Good to see you, sweetheart.
Oh.